Good evening everyone. Welcome to the mobile application development lecture series. This is with module 2 lecture 6 where we are discussing about simple calculator. In the last class we ended up with a partial error and which we are going to correct it in a proper way, how to identify an error, and then we will be building completing our simple calculator. So today's task is completing the simple calculator with a few more addition which we are going to do. Before getting into it, so what did we discuss in the previous class? We discussed about the simple calculator. Before that we discussed about various files which are there in Android system, Android Studio. Wherein, example, what all things we discussed yesterday? We looked into the Java file, the manifest file, the XML file, color file, style file, mini app file, and many such files we looked into it, which are very important. The drawing, the layout file, many such files we looked into it. So now today we are going to complete our simple calculator with the addition in such a way that what we will be doing it, the previous calculator was all about Calci. There are two text boxes and one button, add, and then here we are going to display our result. So this is what our expectation, and we found that error. So let's go back to that error and find out how to correct it. What went wrong? So we had lack of time in the previous class and we ended up the session abruptly. Now we are going to complete that session with a small how to find that error, where was it causing the problem. Let's see how exactly that error can be found. If you all observe it, so we had written a code, we had a Java file where we had two text boxes and one button, and here we have a text view. Okay, with this, and we wrote a code such a way that we looked into the one button was there, one text view, two edit boxes for entering the data, and then we took the resource ID using find view by ID for all the variables, and then on clicking the button, add button, we were adding the numbers and we were supposed to do. So the error was, what used to happen was, the error was, say, when I used to run the program, when I was running that program, it so used to happen that it used to load. But the time I used to give my numbers 1 and 3, I was supposed to get 4, but the program used to crash. So this is what it was happening, and how do we correct that? So for that, we don't know where is the error, why it is crashing. It is actually the runtime error which we call. The application is getting crashed. It is not a syntax error, it is a logical error. There is something while execution, there is something which is going wrong. It could be that the IDs are not getting referenced, the button, text, N1, N2, but it is not happening because it is getting reference. Why? Because while if the application is loading, which means all the references are found. So on clicking this button, we are entering the data also, which is also very fine. But on clicking the button, what happens? We are initializing the num1, num2, num3, and then we are converting the string to the integers. So on clicking this button, we are getting the error. This is what is happening. We are entering the data, and when we click add button, the application is crashing, which means something is going wrong here. So how do we find out? We are supposed to do a debug. So how do we debug? Which is a tool? Debug is a process where we can find the bugs during runtime. So we can place breakpoints and we can check each line, where is it happening. Each line execution we can check where it is exact output is coming or not. So in that perspective, let me place a breakpoint here on clicking here. I am clicking the breakpoint, a red symbol is coming up, and then rather than executing this, I will be executing debug. This is direct execution, this is debug. So let me check, let me execute the program in a debug mode, which you call it as a debug mode. When we execute the program in a debug mode, application is launched, you can observe it, application has come up. Now I am going to enter the data 3 and I am going to enter 3, now it is done. Now on clicking this button, this function will be executed. So when I click this button, error is coming up. So let me see whether it is getting inside or not. On clicking this button, I could observe, I have clicked the button. So it has become the blue part. So if you observe it, it has entered into the function now. We can observe it. It has entered in the function, there is no problem. So getting inside the problem, which means button has the reference, proper reference, it is getting into the right function. Now there should be some error within these 4 lines. So let's observe whether these numbers are getting initialized. How do you execute line by line? If you observe run, there is an option called as step over. Step over, which is F8. F8. Step over F8. On clicking this, one line will be executed. This is very important. Function key F8. On F8 I am going to do, this line is also good. There is absolutely no problem. num1, num2, num3, there is absolutely no problem with these 3 numbers. Now then where is the error? It could be in the next 3 lines. Yeah, it could be next 3-4 lines, it could be. So now let's see, execute one more time. So now again we have to press, this line has to be executed. But if you want to check what all the values of num1, num2, num3, you can always check that. We have something called as variables. Look at it. The variables have been initialized to 0. You can always check those values also, it is visible. So now I am going to check, execute this line. So this line is executed, now the next line. So what is the key we have to press? F8, step over. Oh, application crashed. Application crashed. So it has entered into the loop.java, Java, which means it didn't perform as expected. So there is something wrong which is happening. There is something wrong which is happening. So which means there is some problem here. So it is not able to convert the string to integer. So how do we do that? How do I check that? Oh, there should be some problem statement. It's some error in this. So the error which I could observe is in this line. I have given a n1 is n1 is of type edit text. Without reading the text, I am converting it. Without reading the text. So I am going to change it dot get text. So I am supposed to read it first. After reading, I have to convert into string form. Okay. So the same mistake I have done here. Let me correct it. Get text. So from my edit text, I have to get the text and then convert into toString. So this value, this toString will be given to the integer type parse int, and this will give you the integer part. Now it should be working fine, I guess. Now let's execute again. Whether debug it. Let's do the debug again after making the correction. Okay. Now let me give the input. 3 plus 3. Done. Let me click the button. Oh, it is waiting. The debugger, the breakpoint is waiting. Add. Oh, it has already hit. It has already, variables are already loaded. Let's check the variables later. Now let's execute. What is the keyword? F8 function F8. Now I have this line is executed, it is absolutely no problem. You can check that values as well in the variables terminal. We can check the values in the variables terminal. Now let's see the num1 whether this gets done or not. Function f8. Oh, absolutely fine. So this was the error. So we didn't read the text, rather we are directly converting it into integer. So now it has read. So what is the value of num1? You can observe the num1 is 3. What is the num1? Num2 it has been, this statement has been not executed. Now let me execute this statement also, f8. Absolutely. So I had entered 3 plus 3 and 3. Now both the values have been read. It has been converted into the integer now. Now 3 plus 3, num3 is currently 0. If you observe it, because this line is not yet executed. Now once I execute, this will become 6. Now if you observe 6. Absolutely, now this is a statement which converts the integer to string and keeps it in our text view. Set. So we are converting integer into string, and then the string value we are setting it onto text view control, text view widget. So text view we are setting it. Okay. Okay. Now let's run and check it out whether it works fine or not. I am going to run it directly now. I am not going to do a debug. I am running it now. So now let me give the values 5 and 3. So I am clicking the output. Now I am not doing any debug. I am just executing to get the output. So if you all observe it, I am getting the output here 8. It's a small widget. Please bear with me. 8 is coming here, which means the simple calculator with 2 text box, 1 add button is working absolutely fine. Okay. So this is what is expected because of that error. But getting that error is also very important, because we got to know how to do a debug. Now with this, what we are going to do right now is, we are going to complete, or we are going to extend our program to such a way that we are going to convert the same program to a better one using single text box. We did it with 2 text boxes. Now the same application will be developed, just an upgradation of the program to make sure that we have only 1 text box and 1 add button and 1 equal button. This is how I want it. Later we'll add number buttons also. But I am improvising the code in such a way that earlier there was 2 text boxes. Now I have only 1 text box, 2 buttons. So what do? I'll be giving 3. Once I write 3, I'll press plus. Once I click plus, automatically 3 should be erased. 3 should be erased. Then, which means it should be stored in a temporary variable. It should be stored in a particular data member of a class. It is stored. Num1 is stored. In num1 it has been stored. There were 3 variables, num1, num2, num3. Now 3 I entered and I clicked plus. Once I click this plus, a function will be called. Inside that function, I'll be converting this string 3 to integer 3, and I'll be storing it onto num1. So once this is done, I'm going to clear this after this. So I'm done. But it is stored. It is kept in a memory. Now, once it is clear, again I'll write it as 5. So once I click 5, automatically I'm going to, after this 5, I'll be clicking equal. On clicking this equal, what happens? It will call a function. Inside that function, I'll convert this 5 string to integer and I'll store it in here. along with that, what I'll be doing is, I'll be adding these 3 and 5, output will be, I'll be getting 8 and I'll be displaying this 8 here. All these tasks will be done here in this function. So what I'm doing, on clicking this plus button, I'll be reading only one variable, the first number, the first literal. On clicking equal, I'll be reading the second literal, second number, converting it, adding it, again storing it back onto the same edit text. So this is what I want to do, so that what the program got improved, the simple calculator program got improved in such a way that earlier we had 2 text boxes, now I have only one text box, one plus button, one equal button. The next step will be adding many number buttons. Exact calculator can be built. So we are going step by step. Let's do this, complete this. How exactly we can do? The same program I'm going to improvise. So what I'll be doing is, I don't want few things. I don't want this number. I really do not. I want to delete this. Deleted. I do not want the view also. Deleted. I would like to take this number into the reference. I'll take this add button up. So I'll be renaming this button add to plus in the attributes part, which is nothing but attributes, have changed it. Next, one more button I am going to add, that is the equal button. I am going to rename this button to equal. So my design part is good. So absolutely fine. Okay, we are good with our design. We have one text box, one plus button, one equal button, very simple calculator. Now on clicking this, what happens? The code should be written. So many things I have to remove. I do not have a text view. I have deleted it. I do not have a number 1, 2. I have deleted it. But I have added one button. So the text view I do not have N2. I am going to call this as add button so that I don't get confused. Another button is equal button, which I'll be including it. So if I have got 3 controls, so 3 data members have used it, and then so this has been renamed as add button, and this has been renamed as add button. Okay. Now one more button has been taken up. So for that I have to find a view by ID. So that is nothing but equal button. I am using that equal button whose ID is button 6, which I'll be including it. So its ID is button 6. So this remains same, absolutely no problem. So some code test. On clicking plus button, what are we supposed to do? On clicking plus button, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to just read, convert and then save it. So since I have to use, since num1, num2, num3 are local variables, I will not be able to access these variables outside this function, add button function. I will not be able to access. Since num1, if I am storing it, I need to access num1 in outside the function also. I will be changing these local variables to class data members. Control X, I will be keeping it as a class data members along with this. So that what happens, since it belongs to a class, these data members can be accessed by all the functions of this class. All the member functions can access all these data members. So this is what I am going to do. So now what I am going to do, I do not want this statement, I am not adding also, I am not doing this. So I am just converting it and then I have to clear it. Do remember, I have to clear. I have to clear this. So once I have converted and stored it to num1, I am supposed to clear it. So which one I have to clear? N1, let me clear it. N1 dot set text dot no N1 dot toString dot clear we have, clear we do not have, N1 dot get text dot clear. Okay, fine. So I have cleared N1 so that after entering it, 3 I will enter, I will click plus button, then this function will be called, it will be converted and it will be cleared. So, but where is 3? 3 is stored in num1, which is a data member, no problem. So now after this I will be entering the second number and I will be clicking equal button. What should happen after clicking the equal button? So after clicking the equal button, what are we supposed to do? Equal, I have to call a function for equal button. Set on click listener, new, on click listener event, automatically a function is created for on click. So now for equal button, a function has been created successfully. Now everything is done automatically by the Android Studio with the intelligence feature. Now what am I supposed to do? Again I have to convert it into, I have to convert and I have to clear that. So I have to convert and store it in num2. So I am going to read N1 itself. So I will be reading the same and I will be clearing it. Once this is done, I can call the add function. Num3 is equal to num1 plus num2. Since these variables are data members of a class, we are able to access it in any of the function. So this is the purpose why we made it as a data member of, or it's a private member, data members, which means it can be accessed within the class by any of the functions. So I am making use of that encapsulation feature very well. Then once this is done, I have to convert it and store it into the edit text box. So how do I do, which is the edit text box? Edit text box is N1 only. I have to do a set text. Within this, what I am supposed to do is have to convert the integer dot, I have to string, I have to give num3. So once this is done, what it is going to happen is it will be converted from integer to string and then it will be stored into the edit text box. So the complete code is done. So I have written two functions for two buttons, one for add button, another is for equal button. Now let's say check whether it works fine or not. Okay, now let's check it out. It's getting launched. Gradle is getting built. Wait for a minute. It's getting installed. It is getting installed. It has been launched. It has been launched. Now I'm going to say 3. Once I click plus, what should happen? It should be clear. It should be stored and it is cleared. It has been stored and cleared. Now I'll press 5. So now I'll click equal button so that it will be converted, it will be added, and it will show you the 8 result. We can check. We have got our 8. We have got our 8. Okay, with this, you want to check it with the debug mode also? We can do that also. We can check it with the debug mode. So in the debug mode, how exactly it works? Okay, that's causing some problem. Let's do a debug and check. So where do you want it to be placed? I have got an breakpoint here, and I'll be placing a breakpoint here. Okay, now let's do a debug and check. Okay, it has been up. Now let's give the input 3 plus. I'm clicking. Oh, it's back. You can observe it. Here you can check. I'll show you. It is good. We minimize this. Okay. We minimize this, and it has hit our exact position. It has been converted, and you can check 3. So if you want to check it in a variables, you can check that also. Observe, it is 3. So in that variable, only num3 has been initialized. Now let's continue running the application. Continue the running the application. Wait a minute till it gets loaded. Okay, now 3, now let's check it out, the another variable 5, which I am giving the input as 5. Oh, it has been disconnected. My Android device has been disconnected. But it's okay, fine. Anyways, I'm gonna, it works fine. So because of the device problem, I'm gonna wind up the session. So today's class was about single text box with multiple buttons. So we are able to do it with a single text box. Previous we had done it with a double text box, 2 text boxes. Now we have given it only 1 text box. Now the next level which you all have to try is, the next level is you have to have only single text box, and rather than giving input every time over there, we are going to give input through buttons. It looks like actual calculator. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus, equal. You can have minus, multiplication, you can build it up to scientific calculator. So you people have to try this. This is what is expected. So once you are done with this calculator, you will get a hold on the Android Studio, Android application, and then we can go ahead with other features of how do we use views, how to insert data into the database, how do we use list views, many other options we can go through that. Okay. With this, I am going to end today's session. Thank you all.